Hey guys, it's Jamie bringing you another episode of Recovery Inspired Hope. And finally, it is here. The interview that we've all been waiting for. Rehab Girlfriend series star Julia. Julia, how do you say your last name?
Kincaid.
Julia Kincaid. I didn't want to mess that up. You can find Julia on TikTok and on Instagram, but as it is in Athens, Georgia, we already got her locked down. So if you guys haven't seen her yet, we're about to find out some very personal truths on her journey and how she came into recovery. So we're so excited. Thank you so much for being here, Julia. Tell us all about it. Tell us about yourself.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. Hi, Athens. I'm 23. My pronouns are she, her. I grew up in the Bay Area. I still live in the Bay Area. I have 6 months sober right now, which is the longest that I've ever had, but I've been in and out of recovery, for about 5 years since I was 18 years old.
So young.
Yeah, I started
early. Awesome. That's awesome that you started early, though. Definitely.
Yeah, I'm glad I got it out of the way.
Definitely. Okay, so you have 6 months sobriety, and so what is your main pathway to recovery?
Do you mean like in terms of how I stay sober day to day, or how I got to even being able to do that?
Yeah, like what do you use? Like, do you go to meetings? Are you into fitness?
Yeah, I definitely go to meetings. I really want to be able to say, yeah, I'm into fitness, because I know that you're really big into into physical activity and exercise, helping in recovery with mental health and all of that kind of stuff. And I think that that's great, and I've experienced that for sure. But right now I'm like, I'd say that it's going like the opposite way for me. Like I'm trying to I have to get my mental health a little bit, and then I'm able to exercise. I don't know if that makes any sense. It's kind of weird.
Absolutely.
But I'm starting to do that now. I really like dance. So that's been more of a recent thing. I go to meetings. That was my first introduction to recovery, because although addiction and alcoholism runs in my family, so does recovery, which is good. And I've been to rehab a few times, inpatient, outpatient. So I've picked up a lot of stuff there that I use now in terms of different coping skills. And sober TikTok has been really huge for me. It's like a family there, and it's awesome. Sober Comedy on TikTok hosts a meeting bi-weekly, I'm sorry. So that's been great as well.
What is this sober TikTok? What is this?
It's, so I guess TikTok has a bunch of niches, a whole bunch, and their algorithm basically will show you the kind of content that they think that you're interested in based on what you interact with, I believe. And so Sober TikTok is a bunch of folks in recovery that share their experience and share laughs and tears and all that kind of stuff. So it's good, and it's all types of people, not just sober folks, sober curious folks, whole range of people. It's great. I love it.
Awesome. I had no idea that they had a sober community, a recovery community on TikTok.
Neither did I, honestly.
Wow, that is so cool. So tell us, what happened? I mean, at 18 years old, what happened to you where you were like, I think I need to do something different?
A lot of things. My addiction was taking off pretty hard my senior year of high school, and I've never been a functional addict or alcoholic, so it was very apparent to my friends and to my family by the end of that year. And fortunately, my friends in high school were starting to build their futures and get involved in activities and figure out who they were. And they were moving forward in life and growing up, and I wasn't doing that. At the time, that was kind of lost on me. But now looking back, I was descending deeper into my addiction, and it all kind of accumulated on prom night where, I was clearly under the influence. My primary drug of choice, the one that brought me to my knees, really is Xanax. And my parents found out because I was very intoxicated. And then that weekend I went to my first, one of my family members took me to a women's meeting. And at the time I was like, cool, what is like, I didn't even connect that I should be there. But yeah, that's kind of how I got started.
And so then it was kind of just like you tried it for a little bit and then decided you didn't want to do it anymore, or?
Yeah, it was kind of a cycle. I got stuck in this cycle, which was like I would go out and use, and then something traumatic would happen, something bad would happen, and then that would scare me into getting into recovery again. I would do like whatever it was, detox and outpatient or detox and inpatient, and then I'd come home, not address what I needed to address, and get so miserable again eventually that I would go back out and then start the cycle all over again. And that happened over and over and over again. I've been to treatment many, many times and have kind of done little else for 5 years. That's been primarily where I've spent most of my time is in rehab. Or the time that I remember, I guess. And, but over time, thankfully, I started to fill out the cycle a little bit and like set myself up for more success. So I'd go to treatment, and then maybe afterwards I'd extend my time in treatment, and then go to a sober living house, and then, I kept taking like tiny little steps forward. And luckily I was able to survive long enough, and that I eventually decided that I was ready to actually be sober, and now here I am.
Here you are. That's awesome. I did the same thing. Like, I think I went to detox about 8 different times, and my drug of choice was pain pills, oxycodone. And so I would go into detox, and then I would come out and I'd be like, I'm cured. Okay, now I can just go party like everyone else, and it took a long time of in and out, to figure out, hey, if I don't use anything, then I don't have to go back to this place anymore.
Right.
I don't have to go through this pain of detox anymore, but it's so hard because when we're stuck in it, we can't see it, I remember detoxing so hard one day, just like shaking, and my friend was like, you don't ever have to do this again. And I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Like, of course this could happen again. Because I couldn't even imagine myself, like, what is life without using, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, yeah, I can so relate to that. So
that didn't land for the first 1,000 times.
Right. But we kept getting up and we kept going, and God saw fit to use us here today. So that's awesome. So you live in Oakwood, California.
Oakland, California.
Oakland.
Yeah, it's like right across the bridge from San Francisco. I love it.
Awesome. I've never been to California. Need to come.
It's great. Yeah, come visit.
Yeah.
Or you can with like virtual meetings and stuff like that, which is cool. I've been able to go to meetings different places. I've got to hit one in Athens now.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So let me ask you a little bit about your spirituality, and like, does spirituality play a part in your journey?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I think it kind of has from the beginning. I mean, I went to a Catholic kindergarten, not that my family is Catholic. My grandmother on my mom's side is Christian, and my dad's family is kind of agnostic. But I grew up believing in God and stuff, and kind of questioned it early on when I was very young, and then decided that, that was something that I believed in. So I kind of had that foundation. So I didn't have a problem with the spirituality of the 12-step programs and things. What I did have a problem with was that I couldn't control things, and that I didn't know the plan, and I didn't know why everything happened, and things didn't go the way that I wanted all the time. And so a lot of the reasons that I've gone back out, including this last time, which is really the best example of getting really angry at my conception of a higher power, was I got out of rehab. I was living with my partner who I had met in rehab, and my IUD failed and I got pregnant, and then I decided, I was like, oh, this is a huge curveball. I'm not ready for this, but I'm excited, and I embraced it. And then I ended up having a miscarriage, and I was very angry and very hurt, because I was like, seriously, like, this was the plan for me? Like, you psyched me out. You were like, oh, here is so I was very mad, and that was, that kept me out for a while this time, because I wasn't ready to try and reconcile that again. And I did have a little bit of an issue with that the beginning of this last time in rehab. I was still pretty angry, but the longer, I knew it would go away eventually, and so I just gave myself time.
Yeah, and we have to do that, especially as women. I feel like we don't give ourselves enough grace. Like, we tend to be so hard on ourselves, and so like judgmental to ourselves. Like, I mean, with things, all kinds of things, especially like, I don't know if you have, are you married?
No.
No. Okay. Me neither. Figured that part out yet. But like being in like relationships, and people out there who are like have kids, and I have 2 kids. Now they don't live with me, they live with my mom. They've always lived with her. So, I get really hard on myself about that, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, sometimes we just have to give ourselves grace and time to be like, hey, it's okay. Like, life is good. Like, I don't have a needle sticking out of my arm today. And, I have like a business, and I have a good life today,
Yeah.
So definitely giving yourself time and grace. Do you see anything like challenging as far as like women in recovery, as far as being a woman, a young woman, especially in recovery? What do you see as being challenging?
That's a great question. I love that question. Recovery for the revolution on Instagram, I'm learning a lot more from them about like barriers to recovery that I haven't experienced as like a white cisgendered woman. But I think that they're a great person to check out on that, because I've heard, the last that I heard, I think women seek treatment less often than men. And I think that we're, socially conditioned to people please, which played a big part in, emotionally why I kind of turned to drugs and alcohol. Not the whole reason, but a big part of it, and turned to relationships and all kinds of stuff. But then I think also like men have a harder time talking about their feelings, because they're socially conditioned not to do that as much. So I think it's kind of like we have an advantage and a disadvantage there.
Yeah.
But yeah, also it's been interesting when I first came into recovery. it's been a process getting to know and getting to trust and build relationships with other women. I mean, building relationships with anyone, but women for me were especially challenging. And I've heard that that's kind of a common thing. And yeah, just learning how to show up for other women, learning how to get along with my sponsor and give them a chance, and like, yeah. So I don't know if that is a great way to answer the question, but
Yeah, no, I can totally relate to that. Like, I had no idea how to be friends with a woman or have a healthy relationship with a woman because, like, like me and my mother growing up, we didn't have a relationship. So it wasn't until I came into recovery, started working with a sponsor, and then learned how to build that healthy communication to actually trust that somebody was truly looking out for my best interest. And that was just so profound to me, that
yeah.
like another woman would just really care for me genuinely.
Mm-hmm.
So it taught me a lot, and it was amazing. So tell me, like, what advice would you give to women who are maybe looking into recovery, maybe at that place where they think they might need to do something different?
For sure. Love this question. I wrote some things down for
Okay.
you. Whoever's
Thank you.
listening and needs to hear this. Try it. You don't just try it, see if you like it. You don't have to do it forever. But I mean, try it and make sure you give yourself a chance to see how it works for you. I would say, I feel so weird giving advice that's not in I statements, but yeah, I would say give it a chance for sure. Would say reach out for help. That's why I suggest meetings all the time. I feel kind of weird because, there's a whole like attraction rather than promotion, and I don't want to be biased towards any, certain programs. But they're very accessible and very widespread for a reason, I think. So would definitely say reach out for help. Don't try to do it by yourself. If you're a dual diagnosis, make sure that you address all of it in a well-rounded way. That made a huge difference for me. And do whatever it takes to get through it was one of the greatest pieces of advice that I got from a sponsor. She was like, if you need to crawl into bed with Netflix and like not be productive and like give yourself a break, like do that for however long you need to, just don't pick up. And I've learned that works for me, and like it's easier for me to start doing something before I want to do it and then start to feel better and better about doing it than to try and do it the other way around. Like, I'm just going to wait until I want to do it and then I'll do it because that day never comes for me, I guess.
Definitely. And I love how you incorporate like everything into your videos and how you speak out about your recovery. I always say when I lost my anonymity, my chains of guilt and shame were just broken. And I think it's so awesome that we're like in this place now in recovery where we can speak out, and you bring in the mental health aspect, the codependency aspect, the feeling awkward in recovery aspect, and you just lay it out there and you're just like, yes, this is good. This is all good. You know what I mean? And we love that and appreciate it. So thank you so much for coming on. So everybody, you need to, of course, Athens, we already got you locked down, but everybody else, you have got to get on Rehab Girlfriend TikTok and Instagram. I'm going to post some links and stuff on here. So thank you guys so much. Make sure you subscribe to Jamie Tall on YouTube, and we will see you next time on Recovery Inspired Hope.
Thank you so much.